Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today is as good a day a reminder to show you this as there is.
On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a new SEC chairman.
And make no mistake, folks, anybody out there, well, he can't fire them, he can't fire Gary Gensler. Understand something. Not only can he make Gary, he doesn't have to just fire him. He just has to, all he has to do is make it to the point where Gary Gensler has no incentive to come to work. Make no mistake, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. Or maybe that's the wrong phrase. There's a lot of ways that things can be done and power can be brought to bear. Just like this whole lie of a crypto reset by the Kamala Harris campaign. They lied to Ripple confidentially. They lied to their face. The idea that Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren and Biden and Gensler are not all the same thing is crazy. If they really had any intention of having a reset and making things right, that appeal never is filed that the SEC did yesterday. There is no reset, never was. These people are liars. And Brad Garlinghouse, this is a tweet I didn't cover yet in the last video. This is a chart that shows you how the SEC is protecting you. Yes, that's sarcasm. So that's how they just protected investors. Then we've got Meta Lawman. This is from a little while back, but this is when he kind of predicted that there would be an appeal.
My guess is that they will appeal, and there are two things that appeal would include, at least two. One is this decision on disgorgement is very, very impactful for the SEC's entire enforcement program. If they can't get disgorgement without proving losses, it impacts significantly pending cases as well as other cases that they would like to bring. And you might recall that we discussed this on a prior show, that while the Ripple lawyers deserve tremendous credit for how they've managed this case, and John Deaton's part was very important in this case, did a wonderful job. Great job by all involved, including the leadership of Ripple, to not buckle under, and settle and fight this thing. Give them all the credit. But there was a lucky break here as well. And that was at the end of last year, the Second Circuit changed the law. For my entire career, which was long, there was no requirement that on a securities violation like this, that the SEC had to show any losses. The Second Circuit changed that last year. In between the time that the summary judgment was decided in this case and the remedies was decided, they get a binding precedent from the Second Circuit that basically kicks out disgorgement. So the SEC hates that, and they think it is wrong. And there is a split in the circuits. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals has ruled that you don't have to do that, show losses. The SEC doesn't have to. So there's a split in the circuit, and so I think the SEC is likely to want to take that up on appeal. Is this the best case in the world to take it up on appeal? Maybe, maybe not. That's number one. But the even bigger issue, Scott, is the question, the $1 trillion question. Is it okay to trade tokens on the secondary market? Are those securities transactions? And Judge Torres said, with respect to XRP, the sales by Ripple, the company, as well as Ripple executives on exchanges are not investment contracts, do not violate the securities laws, are okay. And so that impacts the other cases, Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, others. And the Binance judge followed Judge Torres's reasoning. And so the SEC doesn't want this to snowball. So this
they don't want it to be precedent, basically.
Correct. So this issue is the most important issue, really, to all of crypto. And so the only question is whether the SEC concludes that this is the best case to take that question up. And remember, Scott, they already tried once. I'm not going out too far on a limb here. They sought interlocutory appeal after the summary judgment because they were so horrified by the impact of the ruling on, XRP trades in the secondary market.
That's right. Now, this is an interesting clip. This one was put out by Digital Perspectives. This is a while back when he had Meta Lawman on. Listen to the discussion they had right here.
Speaking of that being very possible, then that brings me to the next question. In your professional estimation of looking at what's happening here, how likely is it that we see this case, what's left of this split decision, go to the appellate court and then on to the Supreme Court? Because I don't change my mind that some element of this may continue to go to the Supreme Court.
I think it's very likely. Because it undermines the entire
innovation.
It undermines the entire enforcement by regulation by enforcement strategy of this regime at the SEC right now. Because if you can't go after, this undermines very much the case against Coinbase and Bittrex. Absolutely. And undermines a significant chunk of the Binance case. So they sort of have to appeal because this decision is going to be thrown in their face, and their response is going to be, well, it's on appeal. Judge Torres made a mistake, So I would rate it highly likely, and I think people need to be aware of that. That there's a chance that things the tables will turn at the Second Circuit, and then the Supreme Court will get it right. I've written something that's going to be, guess what? In both of those cases, West Virginia and the plaintiff in the student loan, I think was Missouri, they lost. They lost before they won at the Supreme Court. So things can change. And people need to be cognizant of that. This is a very important battle. It's not the war, but I think Judge Torres got it right. I've said that to you the first time you had me on, when I had 100 followers, several months ago. You discovered me and I appreciate that. But I believe that Ripple will win. This one thing they lost, that might be upheld on appeal, but I like the chances of Judge Torres' decision being upheld on appeal. But to answer your question directly, yes, I think appeal is more likely than not.
Yeah, it's going all the way to the Supreme Court because it's so, look, I'm always reminded of the early days. Stuart Alderati, when they dropped the lawsuit, said goodbye Howey test, hello Ripple test.
That was the first thing.
And when you look
said.
at the summary judgment, the way they wrote that summary judgment with the blue sky laws argument, I mean, my God, that's a Supreme Court argument. That's not even a Second Circuit argument, right? That's a Supreme Court argument, the way they laid that foundation out. And I feel like, just understanding that dynamic, they're playing the long game. They knew from Jump Street that this had to be done for the entire space, as well as their own company, Ripple, and the use of the digital asset XRP.
They figured Ripple would quit. SEC really likes cases where people settle,
They figured Ripple would quit. But I think Brad Combs might very well be right about that. The Ripple test all the way to the Supreme Court. But don't worry, Rip Van Winkle, XRP holders, read this and relax. We won, it's over. This is a money thing. XRP is not a security. That is not up for debate. ETFs coming 2025. Bull run is still on. This is from Jeremy Hogan. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just the underlined parts. Big mistake by the SEC. Well, it will appeal the programmatic sales ruling, and if it wins, it will get more money from Ripple and have protected no one. Ripple will raise its blue sky law issue, and if it wins, The SEC's ability to regulate the entire crypto space is essentially destroyed. Even if the SEC were to win on appeal, it is very, very likely just a matter of money. Nothing would change as to XRP and its use by Ripple. It will not and cannot be appealing that XRP is not a security. There you have it. John Deaton did a whole write-up on Orange Crypto. I'm going to skip that. It's long, but you need to go read it. Want to remind everybody, see, SEC, they want to kick up problems. They can kick up problems, but remember Tristan Levitt's with the Empower organization. Listen to this.
Well, there's some of both. I mean,
This is the watchdog group that sued the SEC over the Hinman stuff.
Obvious questions are there other instances? Do we have the whole universe of people that Hinman met with, for instance? I would even start from the outset. Do we have the whole universe of all of his communications from the agency telling him what the rules were? We know that he was told that he shouldn't take meetings with Simpson Thatcher. We know that he was told that he was supposed to recuse from all issues involving crypto. I don't know how you get from that to his 2018 speech, right? So you start with that at the outset and then say, okay, were there any reminders along the way? What kinds of trainings did he get? Again, what were the guardrails in place? And then what other things did he do that weren't in public speeches that the whole world can see? What other meetings did he take? If he clearly didn't give a fig about ignoring this advice, right? Then, what else is there that we don't know about? And so and again, same goes for Clayton. Both Clayton and Hinman are on boards of advisors for entities that they played a very significant role with while they were at the SEC. And again, these cozy relationships, I mean, some of this is really kind of as I'd say, the definition of crony capitalism, right? They do things that benefit themselves. They go out, they benefit from it further. And of course, it benefits friends and other close acquaintances as well, right? And so you tend to see a lot of that in government, again, of people kind of agency capture where what they're doing benefits friends and you all go to the same conferences and those that you regulate, right? But again, to have a personal financial interest, that's a step above and beyond. From there, you get into not just unseemly and unethical, into, again, potentially criminal. So that's all of what we want. I would be if out of that also comes information on, why is it that the SEC targeted Ripple and XRP specifically, right?
Yeah.
Someone made the point to me recently that there were hundreds of other cryptocurrencies out there. Why pick this one to go after? Which I think is a very interesting question.
Okay, now in DAIXRP.com, we're going to go further into what Empower is talking about here. Some updates on where they are on that Hinman, the OIG thing from the SEC. That's Office of Inspector General, I believe. And also what's going on with Ripple. So I'm going to talk more about the Ripple thing as well. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.